Welcome to another Coffee with Samso, and today we're in Sydney. We're here for the week of the RRU conference in the Hyatt Regency, and apparently it's the biggest one of all the RRUs. I've got Pat Williams here from Revolver Resources Limited. The ASX code is RRR, market cap currently around 84 million, and the last quarterly had cash of 8.4 million. So look, Pat, welcome to Coffee with Samso. You've got a very, very interesting story in North Queensland. We've talked for a while in regards to coming on to the show. I'm really keen because I'll let you continue because I think it's a worthy story.
Yeah, thanks, Noel. Look, it's good to be here with you today, and really, to a certain extent, I feel like a dog with two tails, and that's a bit of a play on words, both TAIL and TALE, because there's an outstanding story with Revolver. It's taking shape, and I really look forward to this opportunity today to share that with you.
Yeah, I mean, in our conversations before, obviously prior to recording and things like that, look, you've mentioned that, you know, your two tails, TALES, is something that you guys have worked on. You listed 6 months ago, and you've worked on this privately and trying to define the two listing projects or the listing process.
That's right.
For a while. So maybe you could share with us that journey and then what you like about what you guys got now.
Yeah, look, Noel, thanks for that. I think it's important to understand the character of Revolver, and the business has a heart and soul. We've got to take a step back to understand where the founders brought the business from. So as you said, we listed late September last year. We got a bank vault full of cash, and that's given us the ability to really step up and go quicker. However, Revolver has existed for just over 7 years. So we're a private company, and we took that path for a number of reasons. Firstly, we have a completely focused dedication to deliver shareholder return. So we wanted to do that. We're very careful, cautious, considered people. Both Paul and myself have been in the resources industry more than 3 decades. So we understand the trials and tribulations, we understand the ups and downs, we understand the challenges. So we undertook this responsibility to purposefully look for copper. So copper was our thematic, over 7 years ago, before it hit the kind of double whammy, market interest right now. So we were looking when others weren't. We came into some assets and we developed those. We've taken private money, we've existed for 7 years, and we built the asset base that came into the public listing. And we did that because we knew that we had good quality projects. We haven't just cobbled together a group of random assets, capitalised on a market uplift, got some money, and we're out kind of. We have some quality assets with some really good, some outstanding opportunities, and it was time to bring them to the market, to supercharge them, because we're on the cusp of some really interesting outcomes on both projects. So that's a little bit of the journey, and again, the transition from private to public, in the private world, you raise a bit, you spend a bit, you raise a bit, you spend a bit. Time is not efficient. So we did see coming into a market uplift a shortage of quality people, shortage of contractors, a real challenge for resources. We wanted to be cashed up so that we could commit to projects. So really, we're moving with momentum in Revolver. The transition from private to public, we've worked these projects. We know that they've got good bones. We know that they've got some outstanding opportunity, and it's time to showcase those, and that's what we're looking forward to doing. So the last 6 months is, the latest chapter in a fairly long-running and successful journey, and we've achieved some great things in that 6 months too, Noel. So, look forward to talking a bit more about that now.
Yeah, I think for a lot of you, it's good to note that the private part, although you may mention is inefficient time use, but it's also where the purpose of someone giving you money and you making sure that you haven't squandered it is, I think, more pressure felt than in public space, because it does move very fast when you're in that public space, because you're spending the money much quicker, and you have to get the results much quicker. But when you're in private, I always sense that this transition of companies from private to public, in private space, it's you have to justify your spend more, and in some ways it's more efficient, cost effective.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Noel, in the private stage of our life, you know your shareholders. You know, you get to look at them, you get to face them. And you know, quite seriously, from the day we first took our first private dollar, you know, we haven't slept well, because we've just got that intrinsic responsibility to make that return. So it does give you a good training. You know, in any of the resources activities, okay, you've got to, you know, do no harm, be responsible to the environment, and you know, build strong stakeholder relations. But you're in it to give your shareholders a commercial return and to do something positive for the industry, and that's a really strong training to get that clear. So in the public market, absolutely, you know, shareholder return is certainly paramount. And that's now something that we're very comfortable with, and we've got the projects that we're comfortable. We've de-risked in the private space. You know, we've taken the time, we've looked systematically at both of these projects, and we've gone up. They've got the pedigree to be taken further, and so it was all a part of that preparation. You know, a long-running apprenticeship. But we're really excited about you know, that transition and what we've achieved in that time.
Yeah, it's definitely two projects that are standouts, because when I looked at Diane, historically you've got 63,000 tonnes at 22.7% copper, and I would say most guys out there have never have even thought about a operation with that kind of grade. Also, it's oxide ore, but I think it was somewhere between 1979 and 1983 when this was happening. Correct. Can you give us your view, because that's significant, and it's good and bad for you in terms of what you're finding, but obviously you're also drilling and you're getting some decent results. So maybe give us that whole journey of, you know, the goods and bads for that.
Yeah, look, Noel, there's a couple of clear messages with Diane that we need to reinforce with people as a part of the introduction and upskilling. So firstly, you're correct, there was some history. Australia and one of the, you know, highest grades in the world. It was a direct shipped ore. It was a sulphide ore, supergene enriched for the majority of it, so a chalcocite-chalcopyrite combination. So it was a thin, you know, 3 to 4 metre, steeply plunging, massive sulphide lens. It actually outcropped. So there was a gossinous, you know, surface feature. The geologist kicked around, you know, put some holes in it, and Bob's your uncle. So it was really a smash and grab. Back in the late 70s, you know, copper, what was it, 50 cents a pound. So it carried the support of a quite rudimentary kind of 70s era operation. You know, there was a small surface operation, an underground open stoping exercise, and it really took out the low-hanging fruit. You know, things finished in the early 80s, and really, you know, that was the story of it. It outcropped. It was relatively easily found. You know, what brought them to that region were some, you know, malachite stained green rocks. So, you know, green rocks on the surface, it's kind of, you know, it's pretty easy exploration. So, you know, and that was all. You know, economic circumstances at the time, you know, saw the operation cease. It was difficult. There was some, you know, hanging wall stability. So they packed up and went away. But the deposit wasn't exhausted by any way, shape or form. And importantly, there was absolutely no modern exploration that was applied. There was lots of, you know, circling around looking for more outcrop. It's a difficult environment. So we're you know, we're north of Cairns, we're in the wet tropics, you know, we're in Cape York. So it's tricky environment. It's not, you know, kind of rolling flat, you know, topography where you can kind of see to the horizon. It's tricky, it's difficult. It's, you know, very abrupt seasonality. So, it's a challenging environment for exploring, and there hasn't been any, really. Since the day operation ceased, people have been back to scratch around, look for more outcrop, drill a few holes nearby, but it's lacked any systematic modern exploration. So
that's where opportunity lies.
Well, that's exactly right, because the region, there's another historical copper operation, Mount Malloy. There's another one close by, the OK copper mine, extremely high grade. There's the Mount Carbine tungsten operation close by, one of the premium tungsten operations in the world. So it's an opportunity-rich mineral province that's completely underexplored. So we're here bringing that systematic modern exploration to what was a historic operation, and we've got to clearly outline to people, Noel, that we're not picking through the scraps of what was left behind. It simply had a short, sharp, direct shipped ore operating environment to the extent that they operationally at the time they could extract the ore, and they left. There are no deep holes, there are no long strike holes, and we're finding adjacent to the massive sulphide lens, we've got a completely open zone of mineralisation, the Green Hill corridor, that's at the moment, measured and confirmed by diamond drill holes and assays, it's the size of 3 football fields, and it's open still. So, these are, completely remarkable and clear messages that are being surfaced from the results that we've achieved in 6 months. So, there's, a short chronology of exercises that we've undertaken in the field. Each of them has delivered us results that we couldn't have anticipated. So with a minute, I'd love to kind of give you a bit of a timeline of the chronology of what we've done. So upon listing, we basically and operations, we listed in late September. Operations on site commenced, in the first half of October, and it was continuous. So we worked in the wet tropics all through the summer of 2021 and 22, continuously. So and what we've completed is some surface mapping, some regional surface sampling. We've completed an extensive IP program. A 17-hole diamond drill program. We have 10 of those holes cased now for a downhole EM scope that starts next week when I leave here. And then we're coming through with a complete tenement-wide heli EM program in the June-July timeframe. So field activities that are just rolling through, building on what we're incrementally knowing. And we've got an outstanding story. So the results that last week we were fortunate to release the first 9-hole assay results from the 17-hole program. So 7 out of the
diamond hole.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it was a comprehensive diamond program, both in the massive sulphide zone and the adjoining Green Hill mineralisation zone. So the first 9 holes have hit the deck in terms of assays, and 7 out of 9 of those were good comprehensive mineralisation. So some outstanding copper grades, 19.8%, massive sulphide, chalcocite enriched. And we've also got the chalcopyrite massive sulphide zone. It's open. So the holes that we've drilled are indicating they're deeper, they're kind of laterally along strike, and we're still finding the massive sulphide. So it's not finished, despite the thoughts and views at the time that the old timers got in, mined it, took it, and left. So we've got a massive sulphide lens that we've drilled and sampled, and it's open.
A lot of people, it's that last comment you make is that, oh yeah, they've come and taken, taken all the fruits, but they don't understand it's the low-hanging fruits they've taken, and that supergene enrichment is there because of a reason. There was something else that the the core, the vein lengths that you're talking about. Because I'm looking at your drilling, 3.5 meters at 13.87. That's decent, right? That's mining grade. If you see a vein that's continuous to that, you're in the money in that,
Correct.
so to speak, right? But
Yep.
when I look at it, I think this is where what interests me with Diane is that it looks like you got a system there that hasn't really been explored, and I try and remind people that in today what we're seeing in the last 2 years is, I mean, you've been in the industry for a while. You correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I've seen an industry a period of time this length in our industry that's continuous. It's always been a chop and change, and the fact that people are raising a lot more zeros helps us move these projects properly. Whereas before we raised 2 million, we go, hey, successful raise, boys. But that doesn't get you very far in challenging projects. And I like this time sound because those challenging projects are where the main fruits are, and they haven't been touched for decades.
Correct. Yeah.
So as you've just described, this is an area that, not because of lack of prospectivity, it's lack of ability to maintain that kind of search. And as we all know, the stuff that's left behind because it's too difficult, in better times, they are discovered because they're there. They're not. It doesn't mark you as a genius. It's just the fact that it's there, right?
Yep. And Noel, you reinforce a number of points. Firstly, we're completely respectful that we're able to complete a $12.7 million raise. That's a lot of money. We've become disciplined, very hands-on. We self-perform. We still self-perform. I mean, I was kind of up there for 6 months, continuously.
I've been chasing you for that.
Yeah, that's right. And it's not because I didn't want to talk to you, but we're very respectful about every cent, and we're lucky to have that type of raise complete because you're exactly right. The easy stuff's gone. The easy stuff in the Mount Isa block, the easy stuff, the outcropping, evidence of this sort of mineralisation, it's all gone. So in the backdrop that we have really friendly mining jurisdictions, Australia, Queensland particularly, it's a great place to do business and it's a great place for mining. We just have to look a little bit harder, use the science and technology, and be rigorous about what we're doing. Don't waste money. Be very careful and judicious. Small expenditure, but looking for, and that's why we're comfortable that we've got a massive sulphide system on our hands. Again, historically, no one ever did the work. The petrographic work, the detailed metallurgy, and as evidenced by what you've said, the lower grade adjoining mineralisation zone, and like I said, 3 football fields in size, and it's still open in 3 directions. That was overlooked, and here we are sort of sitting there going, hang on, that's at surface, it's consistent grade in the 0.8 to 0.9% copper grade, at surface, good big thick intersections, open in 3 directions. That's a near-term mining opportunity, coincident with the massive sulphide. So you're going, hang on, this is a really good story unfolding, and we still haven't. Massive sulphides exist in camps and clusters. The Golden Grove, the
VMS systems.
Exactly. They're not great big amorphous ore bodies. So they plunge, they dislocate, they reoccur, and we're now starting underground, with the downhole EM program. So we've got some 300 metre deep holes, and we'll be running the EM program on those, from next week onwards. And we're looking forward to continuing the massive sulphide story at the same time as continuing to define this large adjoining, at surface, bulk mining potential, block of ore. So it's a story that's come to light that we didn't fully appreciate. So both mineralisation zones remain open. And we've started, and let me take another step back and explain to you the head start that we got also. So there was history. We've talked about Diane. It was an operating project back in the late 60s, early 70s. Late 70s, early 80s. And there was drilling, but it was all pre-JORC. JORC wasn't invented then. So there was a body of work that we were, unfortunately, it didn't feature large in our prospectus because it just didn't meet the technical criteria for the industry these days. So we'd raised the money with a view to, unfortunately, doing a little bit of more repeat drilling. But what happened in that period of time, and we're really fortunate because we got some of the smartest kids in the room on our technical team, and they've achieved some outstanding work because they've got us credit and recognition for nearly 6,000 of those historical drill meters. So it just completely saved us the inefficient redo of a lot of drilling. So our exploration focus got, again, a good leapfrog forward late last year because we're able to satisfy with the independent resource geologists the fact that we could use nearly 6 of the 9,000 historic drill meters. So that was a tremendous saving for the shareholders, efficiency to the project, and it allowed us to push forward to direct exploration, not a redo of resource drilling just to get the initial kind of JORC model out. So that's the foundation that we started with. We went straight into the step out exploration. So changed the drill program. We're going for deeper, out by drilling. We had to get some metallurgy samples of both mineralisation zones, and we've done that. But we're able to tag team then between the IP program, 12.6 line kilometres of IP in some pretty rugged mountain goat country, and that's identified.
That's interesting though, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Like it's a target-rich environment. There are chargeability targets, within hundreds of metres that all need to be drilled. So we've had a leapfrog forward in the ability to deploy our money for looking for upside, and we're finding it. We've got the open sulphide lens, we've got the open adjoining mineralisation, and we had a pause, and now we're circling back, do the downhole EM, do a large regional, heli EM program, narrow in on those chargeability targets, and get going for the next round of drilling. So we're really charged up about the Diane project. It's responding to our claim that it lacked any modern systematic exploration. We're applying that and getting really good results. So and let's not forget also that we've only got the first nine hole assay results out. We've got holes 10 to 17. They'll be out in the next few weeks, and again there's 5 out of 8 of those have all hit good solid mineralisation that will further extend that adjoining Green Hill corridor as well. So currently kind of it sits about 3 football fields in size. That will get bigger. So it's a good story, Noel.
How far is that, the Green Hill, from the main drilling, main part of your Diane project? And I just want to remind people, when you're talking about Green Hill, just some of the numbers you're talking about is 50 metres intercept at 0.91% copper, 49 metres at 0.97. So these things that make you think, hey, we got something here, that kind of intercept. The grades, it's not 22%. However, it's an offset between volume and not, right? So, but also what it tells me is that you've got a system, a real system, and an endowed system, and you're not talking about a small kind of play. But yeah, so with that in mind, can you give us an idea how far it is? Because obviously, it is a big developing story for Diane, right?
Yeah, that's right. No, it sits immediately adjacent to the massive sulphide lens. Okay. So it is coincident. It abuts the massive sulfide. It's at surface. So the 40, 50 metre intercepts that you're talking about are, true width, thicknesses, and it's spanning a surface area of, at the moment, 130 metres by 220 metres.
It's part of the system.
It's exactly right. So it's and it's open. In 3 of those directions, so it abuts up to the massive sulfide, and that's closed it off. But open in the 3 remaining directions, and it lends itself. We didn't know that when we started. We found that now, so go chase that. It's another focus to the work that we need to do to further, capitalise on the upside. And again, you mentioned the grades. It's not massive sulfide, but it is, it's a consistent grade. There's nothing wrong with circa 1% copper because it's consistent. It appears to look, very friendly to a simple leach process. So we've got both the diamond drill and bulk samples, with the metallurgist now doing the test work for processability. It's at surface. This is sitting on the ground level, and you go, that's really convenient.
I think you need to remind people, or people need to be reminded that if you've got 15 metres of this, let's say call it 1% copper, and it extends on strike a few more distance, which you're going to have a look at. It becomes, and with heap leaching 1% copper is very good, right?
Yeah.
I think people forget that is actually very good because your cost of production is extremely low compared to if you had to deal with the primary stuff.
Correct.
Look, Diane, it's again, I like to come back to it, but then I don't want to forget your other project because that itself is also something that has a lot of legs. And I think, you made the point that you got this this issue of having to please 2 partners in some ways, right?
Yeah, that's right. Look, and it becomes a matter of deployment logistics. And as we've said all along, there's a constant theme in our business to be completely respectful and operationally efficient and commercially efficient with every cent we spend. Our Osprey project in the Mount Isa block, it's a very large continuous package of tenements, over 800 square kilometres, and that's been the longest running asset in the Revolver portfolio, Noel. We've had that since late 2015 in our family, and we've undertaken multiple phases of work there. Nearly 5,000 diamond core metres of our own, and let me step back even further. So this is a land package that has had some pretty illustrious fingerprints on it. One of which was WMC, and rated as highly prospective ground in their time. For a variety of corporate reasons, it was relinquished, and the people that we acquired the tenements from have had it ever since. So it came from a good pedigree. It was identified as a prospective at depth. So this is a different technical circumstance to Diane. So we're talking about large tier 1 type discoveries at depth and undercover. So again, not easy to find. All the easy stuff's gone. We're not looking at outcropping rocks. So we have to apply, and this has been a good use of the private money because we've got some of the brightest and best that have been looking at this for a long time, but they're going, this is at depth and it's undercover, so you've got to be judicious about being completely overconfident up front. Take a small step, look at what you're getting, and we find with Project Osprey that we're circling around a very juicy target right now. So as a culmination of all of the work we've done, so over a number of years, as I said, nearly 5,000 diamond core metres of our own. We've conducted 3 IP programs, We've conducted several hundred, nearly thousands of ground gravity and magnetic stations. So we're building that geophysics picture, of targets undercover, combining it with the structure and the geology. And we've got ourselves some results that are quite amazing. So we've got clear indication. The petrology is also supporting this. So we've got clear indications of quite extensive IOCG alteration. We've got examples of the chalcopyrite mineralisation. So we have got the hallmark indicators that were in the halo of an IOCG system. So that's we're kind of understated people, and we'd rather, and we were quite happy, working under the radar as a private company. Do good work, get a result, and things happen. We're not comfortable with the shameless over promotion, but this is
shameless.
Yeah, I know, but you do the work. You respectfully complete what you've committed to do. You get results, and you tell people. A part of life in the public market is we've just got to make sure that people properly understand all of the technical content that goes on those slides, and that's that's the role that we feel that we've got to do right now. Is Project Osprey is already showing, the hallmark indicators of IOCG alteration. We never had enough money as a private company to more extensively analyse what we gathered, so we paid a lot of money to get the raw information, the IP, the drill core. So we've in recent weeks and months we've gone through and collected over 500 drill core samples from our historic drill core in these regions of IOCG alteration, and they've been resubmitted for comprehensive geochem. Gold, we never tested for gold terribly extensively, and for the rare earth elements, all as hallmark end member indicators of the IOCG system. So they're in for analysis now, and we look forward to reporting those results and what it means for the next steps with Project Osprey. We have drill targets identified. Our most recent IP work and our most recent drilling just before listing has also given us the next drill targets to drill, but they're deep holes. They're 600-700 metre deep holes. It's expensive country. We want to do it properly, and we've had to take the opportunity to more comprehensively look at what we've already got. We've got a lot of information gathered over 6 years of work, and as I said before, the team that we've assembled now are some of the brightest and best, and they're finding some remarkable information in the data that we already have, and that's going to better help us target. Look for those vectors of indication, because let's face it, in an Ernest Henry style IOCG system, that alteration halo can be 1 to 2 kilometres away from the target zone. So we're in that, and we just need to make sure that we've properly evaluated everything that we've got in order to go and make those next drill holes count.
Because when you mentioned WMC had this project back in those days, WMC pedigree is quite high, and for them to be looking at this at that point in time means that they've done a fair bit of targeting, and they would have been chasing IOCG, and then they understood its deep-seated stuff. They would have looked at the deep structures that I can see on your presentation here. That's quite an obvious indicator to chase this kind of project, right? You want deep-seated structures around it, and I'm looking at it and hearing you saying it, and I think, IOCG in that area, you're in IOCG country, right? We caught that, and I think IOCG is a long-term play. The patience, the methodical way you have to do things, because it's not looking for sheer hosted gold projects, right?
Yeah, That's right. Yeah. No, there is a multiple decade story that's evolved with Project Osprey, and we're quite proud to be able to take it through its next stage. As I said, the work done by WMC, there were only 2 or 3 kind of rangefinder holes on the project, and they were more building the solid geology story. But it got to the stage where, for corporate reasons, and this was the WMC to BHP transition, there was a relinquishment of exploration ground. So it was just let go. And curiously, we still have people who were from WMC, have been involved in our project and continue to be interested in the progress of it, because they knew at the time that it was certainly one of the highest rated exploration tenements in their portfolio.
Because a lot of people who have not been through that WMC process, they were probably the one, in maybe, I'm happy to be corrected, considered to be the only exploration company, small cap when they first started, because that actually had a systematic exploration strategy and the process. Because if you read the history to Olympic Dam discovery, it was 2-3 years of plodding around like you would do, right? Yeah. A bit here, a bit there. And I was actually quite amazed at the amount that what they were doing. They weren't going there doing like ground survey and stuff. They were actually doing a lot of research and thinking and checking this out, going out there, collect a couple of samples, come back, drill a small hole. So there was a lot of process, and I think that's why they were so successful in their discovery. That's why I sort of highly rate it. I've gone through my own project generation, looking at stuff. Whenever the WNC pops up, you go, you look twice, 3 times, right? Yeah. Because you sort of understand the pedigree. Those guys looked at stuff.
Look, and Noel, I couldn't have said that better, to be honest. And I keep reinforcing the strength and the capability of our technical team. We're very fortunate to have some of the brightest and best people from the industry, helping us. And while we haven't been rushing out to the market with lots of news updates on Osprey, that's exactly the phase of activity we're at. There's a lot to digest. There's a lot, prior to our history. And even with our history, there's a lot of information we had to build as a private company. We didn't really have our own, completely integrated, geochemical and geological data sets. That was a little bit of the information that kind of doesn't get attended to as a small private company, but as a public company, again, it's a part of that respectful, considered back office that's needed. And there's a lot of information with Project Osprey that's needed to be compiled, reviewed, analysed, and it's had considerable amount of work in the time from listing to now, and we're really close. We're close. We're be expecting certainly in the next quarter to be reporting those assay results. In excess of 500 samples. There's over 1,000. PXRF results. There's the PSM alteration modelling that's accompanied that. There's a large systematic amount of work that's gone through the relogging. We look forward to bringing that news out and how it applies to taking the next steps. But I completely endorse what you're saying. In this country, it's elephant country. You're looking for elephants, and you've got to be careful because you've got a small number of shots in the chamber, and you've got to make them work. So we've got to make haste slowly, but we'll certainly be explaining to the market, in the near term what we've achieved and how that's going to lend itself to the targeting of the next drill holes. And we may even fit in where we're hoping to look at, with the technology these days of the heli EM systems, up to a 50 metre cover depth. They certainly still have the ability to give some good regional understanding. So in the areas of our tenement, which fortunately are around where we've drilled with the existing signs of that alteration halo, it looks like we might be able to get some airborne EM to assist us as well. So we want to, take the right steps to in the right order, to walk up and drill the hole and look forward to. And as I said, we've got holes already that have got good solid visible signs of that chalcopyrite mineralisation. It's not ore body, bullseye yet, but where there's smoke, there's fire, and we're circling around it and looking forward to taking those next steps.
I think the good part about what you're chasing in Diane or Osprey, I think it's the geophysics, because geophysics today is not geophysics like 20 years ago, and I'm actually learning as we go how precise, use the word precise in quotation marks, that they can actually locate and target things and define things. Every day I'm learning things, but going forward, we've covered a fair bit of stuff, what you're doing. What could throw a spanner and everything? I mean, it's all one thing good about how we're talking about how great this is, but what are the spanners, and obviously, how you're countering those spanners? Can you share that with us?
Look, Noel, it is a high risk future. It's you need a steady hand to both work in this industry and work in this part of the industry. Minerals exploration is high risk, high reward, as we know. But look, what we feel like, not only with the long period as a private company into public, but also, the people running this business have, long running, multi-decade industry experience. The careful, confident set of hands, do no harm. Be absolutely role model setting in terms of the way we deal with our stakeholders and our environmental obligations. Shareholder obligations, don't waste money. Keep your cash reserves, take small steps, carefully look at what you're doing with your results, and turn left, turn right quickly. Okay, yes, we have commitments out there that will do certain things, but if news comes to hand and we need to take a quick left turn, then we'll do it. And that all happens because we're close and hands-on in the business. Those running the business are quite heavily involved in the business, and we're not afraid. We have the breadth, from early stage exploration to, mine construction to large mine operations. The board and management of this business have some quite recognised pedigree, and we'll bring that to play to help us navigate. You're always problem solving. Things come up, and again, we've got the overlay of COVID. We've got a really, really busy industry. We've got a shortage of skills. They're just constant daily problems that you just handle them. And the way we deal with our people, we've got quite a high regard with the service provider community that we work with, both as a public company and before that, because everyone's got value to add in how they help our project. And we build teams, focus on a common goal, work to that goal, and try to give everyone a win. That's how you get people mobilising to work with you, and we adjust and respond to opportunities. Also, come up, Noel. Not every business is doing well. We're kind of got one eye on, as we advance our projects even further. Our corporate intent is to actually bring copper to the market so that we can address the copper shortfall. That's what we're in this for. So we're exploring, to get to a greater purpose. And, as we take our projects, through to maturity and develop them further, we're also, certainly looking for the acquisitive opportunities and the partnering opportunities, because we want to build ourselves a mid-tier copper producing business. That's what we're in it for. We have the capability, the background, the experience, and we've brought de-risked projects to the market to take them further, and really that's kind of our roadmap. for the future for us, and to bring some shareholder return and some company success.
Okay. Look, going forward, I guess I can see the opportunities. I can understand it a lot. I mean, I do like the prospect. Obviously, it's all a case of how much more work you can do, and if because I think that the signs are that you've got a system there, and the difficult part is trying to define it and make it economical. As we all know, it's part and parcel of our industry. So going forward, what could shareholders or potential investors alike out there that would that they can sort of look forward to, maybe however long you can sort of throw your crystal ball at, 12 months or 6 months, but things change quickly, as you just said. So what's that news flow that they could be expecting?
Look, Noel, firstly, from the point of our IPO and even to today, we're well funded. Okay, so we've got the cash reserves to execute a multi-year dual project work program. We won't obviously we won't deploy that without the checks and balances in place at the time. But sitting here in front of us, we've got a head of steam up now on both projects. So we're looking at constant, regular updates and news flow. So with Osprey, we've done the sampling, and we'll be reporting those assays and what it means. We're negotiating with the Heli EM program shortly after that. With Diane, we've got another 8 drill holes. The assay results coming out for those in a few weeks' time. We've got the downhole EM program. We're going to do some surface, a small scope of near pit, surface lines at the same time. We're working towards our initial mineral resource estimate. As we said before, these assay results, the historic drilling, the metallurgy, the met test work that's in place for both the flotation and the leaching, all feeds in and will culminate in our maiden JORC resource, mineral resource estimate, in the June-July timeframe. Then with Diane, coming over the whole tenement. So one thing we didn't really highlight extensively, Noel, with Diane is these areas of mineralisation are sitting on top of granted mining leases. They're mining leases already, and around that we have 110 kilometres of additional, circumferential exploration acreage. So, we're on the target zone, and we have, all of this new and, unfolding mineralisation, but we also have the region around it. So that whole region's going to get covered with Heli EM in the June-July timeframe as well. So, not the least of which in the next 3 months, we've got, constant, exciting and high value news to bring, and that's going to inform our next steps. We obviously have the funding and the purpose to drill at Osprey. We have the funding and the purpose to drill again at Diane. And we're just using the information that we're gathering at the moment to direct us as to where to deploy that activity. So we're funded to do all of that, and we're just processing and evaluating the information. We'll be reporting, fairly regularly along the way, with some pretty exciting news. And we know that we're going to get, more mineralisation, a bigger footprint in these assay results, coming in the next few weeks.
Okay. Look, mate, as I said, I think more than once today, and I liked it. I like these deep-seated exploration stories, and here's the moment where you shamelessly promote Revolver and tell the guys out there, why should they look at Revolver, why they should hang in there, and why they should pick up more, or why they should start looking at buying you. Yeah.
Oh, look, no, we've done more than we said we would in a shorter time frame, and it's cost us less to do it. All of the information that we've developed so far has been positive and better than we expected. So, really, there's no reason not to get on it. We're well funded. We've got a lot of cash in the tin. So we're going. It's a good story on two fronts. The two tails, And you know, we really are looking forward to the next phase of our journey, and letting you know and letting our shareholders know exactly what we're doing.
Okay. Oh, look, you know, it's this game is really about, you know, with all the technical things, all the ups and downs, how great we are, how smart we are. I think it always falls down to two main things: is one really main thing is how big your wallet is, because that dictates what you can do in some ways. And I think you've covered that point, which is good. Look, Pat, fantastic. Thank you for coming. We close off by offering you a token gift from Florence Drummond, who works with the Indigenous Women in Mining Resource.
Okay.
And they've come up with a coffee package. And you're a coffee drinker?
Absolutely.
So here you go. It's a token gift for, you know, falling victim to another coffee with Samso.
Thanks, Noel. It's been a pleasure.
Look, I look forward to more times we can update the market or update our viewers what you guys are doing. But you know, this far-reaching kind of stories is what I like. And being an exploration geologist, we're you know, fatalistic in terms of what we like.
Yeah.
You know, we're always opportunists.
Terrific.
So, great story. Thank you for coming.
My pleasure. Thank you very much, Noel.